and welcome to this week's Three Legs, Four Wheels F1 podcast. It's Paul here with
Dan.
Chris.
Sean.
We're all about the F1 this week,
We are.
Yes.
so let's talk about Le Mans.
Well,
One of the greatest drivers of all time won, didn't he?
No,
Kazuki Nakajima.
Sebastian Buemi.
I was going to say they took Jean-Eric Verne's LMP2 class win away from him.
They did.
Because he cheated. Well, he personally didn't, but
He
Somebody
used
put
an
some-
illegal device.
yes.
Was it something illegal on the fuel?
The fuel
rig?
rig, apparently, yes.
Poor Jean-Eric Verne disqualified after winning LMP2.
And after the massively backhanded compliment that the official Formula E Twitter account gave him when he won. Congratulations to Jean-Eric Verne on being only the fourth Formula E driver to win Le Mans.
Ooh.
That came across as a little harsh to me when I saw that.
Yeah, it does a bit, doesn't it? Especially as there have been, what, is this the 6th season of Formula E about to start?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think this is the end of
but
the
given
fifth.
that
Formula E is as old as Three Legs, Four Wheels.
Yes, it is.
Ah.
given that a Formula E driver had won Le Mans earlier that day,
That's a good
Yes,
point.
literally
yeah.
a lap earlier.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, good point.
Who were the other two then?
I don't know. Am I going to have to look this up?
Oh, sorry, I assumed you had the full story
no,
then.
Andre Lotterer, surely,
Oh, Andre Lotterer
Yeah,
is
of course.
interesting, yes.
But not this year.
but not this
Obviously,
year.
Buemi and Verne, but not Verne now. I don't know who
So-
the other one is.
Nick Heidfeld?
I
Did
don't
he end
think-
his world of disappointment?
I doubt it very much.
I don't think so.
Nico Prost?
Who was in
Bruno
Nico
Senna.
Hulkenberg's team?
Ooh.
He didn't have a team. He did it by himself.
It
We've
was all
discussed this,
him,
Dan.
just him.
24 hours of just Hulkenberg in the car.
No, wasn't in 2017. Don't think Will Stevens has ever been in Formula E, has he?
Or has won Le Mans.
He won GT Amateur last year.
Did he?
Yes.
Wow. That shows how much of an impression he made.
What else have we got? Neil Yarney. He's raced in Formula E before. And he won in 2016.
Is that when Hulkenberg
I was to
won?
say, was he one of Hulkenberg's?
Hulkenberg was 2015.
Ah.
Yes, it was that long ago.
Well, that was quite a while ago now, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, bored now. Can't be bothered looking any further back because the next page is just going. Next one back is Hulkenberg, and that's just going to be all about him.
Well, basically, the big story that came from Le Mans was that Alonso is now 2 out of 3 for his Triple Crown.
yes,
He's
Yes.
as good as Juan Pablo Montoya.
Yes.
Yep, which means he's basically...
the chubby-faced rocket man.
That is how the Eurosport commentator described him, yes.
But I mean, that is basically... It's now a race, isn't it, between Montoya and Alonso to be the next Triple
It is
Crown
one
winner.
Alonso
Yes.
can win because Indy 500 is before Le Mans.
Yes.
So presumably Alonso.
So, but are we all in agreement now that we're now in the sunset days of Fernando Alonso's Formula One career? This is his last season. He's now got
Realistically,
14 races left, is it?
14 race wins. 14
That was
it. My
Ambitious.
God, McLaren have sorted things out while he's been away.
Yeah.
I think he will be done with F1 at the end of this year. I don't think he'll be done with McLaren, and I've said this all along. They will build an IndyCar team round him.
Be a Zach Brown sort of inspired brand expansion into IndyCar after their successful foray in 2016. They've decided to enter for the 2019 season as a full team, and we're just going to transfer one of our already established and well-loved and well-known drivers from Formula One into IndyCar.
Yeah.
But really, it's so Alonso can have a crack
US,
at-
get
Yes.
ready for Stoffel Van Dorn.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised to see Alonso doing IndyCar and Formula One next year.
Well, he's doing WEC and Formula One this year, isn't
Yes.
it? And that car is currently top of the standings, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, because it won in the
Two
first
races,
race.
2 wins.
Yeah. 2 races, 2 wins. So
Well, that's because there's nothing there to challenge it,
No.
apart from the other Toyota.
Which didn't win because it lost count of how many laps it had done at one point in Le Mans.
Yeah, got penalised for doing one more lap longer than allowed in a stint.
oh dear.
That was
Kamui
already
Kobayashi forgot to go into the pit lane.
Kobayashi also got penalised just before that for using too much fuel while he was running.
Yes.
Was there also a pit lane speeding thing with that car?
No, I put a tweet up saying a pit lane speeding will be the perfect hat trick.
Ah, right, okay.
No,
That's
that
what
was-
I must have read. I must have read that.
No, that was me wildly speculating. Not through a lack of sleep this year.
No, because we didn't get enough patrons to actually do the live blog of the whole thing.
But we were there. We were there on Twitter.
Yes.
One of these days we will be there at the track.
Hopefully so.
I've always wanted to go.
Yeah. Do the camping.
Yeah.
24-hour Le Mans.
You're
Yeah.
not good at the camping, though.
Get a caravan or a motorhome or something.
Motorhome. Just ask John McGuinness if you can borrow his. He's not using it so often now, is he?
I don't know, he gets very angry when it gets beached getting on and off the ferry, though.
No,
so-
borrow Michael Rutters has got a hot tub.
Apparently so, yes. Apparently so.
But yeah, it does look like now that's it, doesn't it, for Fernando Alonso in Formula One, and IndyCar is his next move.
Yeah.
Now that Le Mans win is complete, he's got Monaco, he's got Le Mans. If he's going for the Triple Crown because he knows he's not going to be another Formula One, well, he's not going to win another Formula One World Championship, then Triple Crown is, to be a complete driver. I think he said in that interview on Sky recently.
He just wants to enter every single race. I can't remember who I saw the tweet from, but they're saying give him 5 years, he'll do Dakar.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably will do.
And
Be like Jan Lammers. We were talking about Jan Lammers. He was at one point he was running 15th in Le Mans. 62 years old. So he was running 15th at Le Mans. Like, that's going to be Fernando Alonso in 25 years' time.
yeah, remember that New Zealand Junior Formula race that we watched?
Oh, yes, that
a
was
few-
strange.
A few months ago, it was over the winter, and I think it was New Zealand Formula 4 or something.
I think, yeah, or the equivalent. It was something of that nature.
And there was 19 young drivers, all
16, 17.
yeah, I think the oldest one in the field was 19, except for the guy that was 72. So if you can carry on racing till that age, then that Alonso's only halfway there,
Very true.
and it's giving him the chance to do every possible top level series going.
Well, that's pretty much him done for Formula One, though. Do we not think?
I think yes.
I don't agree. It does seem to be received wisdom that he's won Le Mans, so
You mean
he's
perceived wisdom?
yes. but everyone does seem to think he's won Le Mans, so he's out of Formula One now because he wants to concentrate on the Indy 500. But I think he still wants to achieve things in Formula One. He still wants to prove things, and he's not any slower. He's still up there. He's still got the talent. So if he can be in a car that's got a sniff of a win, I don't see him leaving Formula One, especially if he's got a chance to race in IndyCar as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, McLaren are putting together an IndyCar entry, aren't they, for 2019?
Allegedly.
It has
Allegedly.
been mooted, I think.
It's been not denied.
Yeah, so it would make sense when Zach Brown and his brand expansion wanting to move into IndyCar and just sort of transferring one of their existing drivers.
I think he's putting together a WEC team as well.
Really great talent and stuff.
Well, I mean, Zach Brown's already got the United
true.
Autosports WEC team.
Ah, yeah.
But that's for the LMP2. Maybe
that's
the
in the-
McLaren
yeah.
could be the LMP1.
possibly.
Try and take it to Toyota.
Yeah, or even do the GT, I suppose.
That would be more of a fit for him because
Yeah.
that's what they make. Mm-hmm. And I think building an LMP1 is probably a little bit overly specialist.
I mean, he's in for WEC for this bumper season, isn't he?
Yeah.
Up until Le Mans next year.
So Le Mans next year will be his final race of this season of
Yes.
WEC.
Yeah.
So could he do Formula One, WEC, and IndyCar all the way up to June next year, from the beginning of next year?
I don't think the schedule works. I think there are too many weekends where IndyCar clashes with F1.
Well, we know that you've obviously got the Indy 500 and
Yes.
Monaco.
This weekend there's a clash. There's the I think it's Road America
yes.
that clashes with the French Grand Prix. There was the Texas 600 2 weeks ago.
So one of them's going to have to give way.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's-
we've seen this already, though. I mean, WEC moved a whole round to suit Alonso. I don't think
Well,
it would
Toyota
be
did,
feasible.
didn't they? Yeah, Toyota moved a whole
Yeah,
round.
I don't
it
think
was
it
a whole
would
round
work.
that was moved at a Toyota-owned circuit.
Yeah.
Yeah, funny that. But yeah, I can't imagine IndyCar would be able to completely reorganize their schedule to suit Alonso. But you never know.
No, I don't think so. I think one of the three disciplines is going to have to give way. I mean, maybe running WEC, the second half of this WEC season alongside an IndyCar entry, but I think Formula One with Liberty always want to put more races on the calendar and more events in Formula One. I think this is it for Alonso. He started his final season and he's only got 14 races to go.
Yeah,
I think the only way it could possibly work with him juggling all three is if he just did ovals with IndyCar, because there's I think there's fewer ovals than road courses.
Just to prepare himself for the Indy 500.
Just to get ready for the Indy 500. But again, I'm not super sure on the schedule. I don't know how that would match with
We've seen
F1.
McLaren switch drivers out before, haven't we? Not just when Alonso did the Indy 500, but was it 95 when Mansell decided he did and then didn't want to drive? I think they had 4 drivers that year.
was that the year that they had?
Hakkinen, Magnussen, Mansell, and Blundell.
Or was it Brundle?
Blundell, I think. Mark
It
Blundell.
was one
I
of
think
them.
so. Yeah.
Brundle.
Yeah.
Brundle.
Brundle.
Well, Mansell,
One of them.
Mansell didn't drive at first because he couldn't fit in the car.
His final race was Spain '95.
Yeah, they had to make a slightly wider cockpit for him to get in.
Is this like when Sauber built a car around Sergio Perez and then signed Nico Hülkenberg and couldn't fit him in?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Very similar. But yeah, I don't. It's just for me, it's difficult to see. Unless McLaren do this whole sort of driver juggling thing, it's similar to what they did with K-Mag. If they move Stoffel back to like reserve driver, and Alonso and Norris are like their 2 main race drivers, but on weekends when Alonso's not going to be there, Stoffel will be in the car. Because he's still and I can see the quote now in inverted commas of a press release that's still yet to be written. He's a very important part of the McLaren family that we value very highly.
Just like they described K-Mag before they sacked him on his birthday.
On his birthday.
Yeah.
When's Stoffel's birthday?
It's not Ron's McLaren anymore. Though.
No, it's not. But that's the only way I can really see McLaren balancing it. But I mean, if Alonso goes, that leaves, if Alonso goes, let's start again, Christopher. If Alonso goes, does it necessarily mean that Norris is going to take his seat?
I think it has to, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he said it himself. Don't like name dropping. But when we were at the McLaren Technology Centre, and one of the questions was, do you see yourself in Formula One? It all depends on what Fernando does next year. There's teams knocking on McLaren's door asking to borrow him.
Which is a news story that's broken in the last couple of days.
Yeah. I think they would be stupid if they've got a seat that's available not to put him in. The only problem that they've got is who sits in the other seat, because Stoffel isn't really doing it.
Do they use Stoffel as a measure for Norris, though? Do you know what I mean? Like, Stoffel's a known quantity. Do they keep him in the car alongside Lando Norris so that they can tell how good Lando Norris is? Or do they ship... Because let's be honest, as you just said, Stoffel's not really living up to it at the moment. Do they make the brave decision of having a double driver swap? And if they do, who else do they get in? Because they can't have 2 rookies.
Perez. Which leaves the way open for Mercedes to put more money in Force India and put George Russell in the second seat behind Ocon, who would be de facto number 1 driver. And then Mercedes get their junior team through a backdoor route, because Force India would probably very happily take a second Mercedes driver for free engines or being used as the Mercedes R&D department.
Yeah, did somebody say that Force India have had
Yeah,
financial issues
Force
this week?
India
Is that
have
you,
been
Shan?
saying in the last week that they've had some paying the bill situations this year, so I imagine they'd quite happily not be paying for engines.
Yeah, or something, something significant, driver
Yeah.
wages perhaps.
I imagine George Russell is cheaper than Sergio Perez.
I would imagine so. But, Perez does bring sponsorship, which I'm guessing George Russell won't be
Well,
just yet.
if he's got sponsorship, it will be nowhere near the same level as the Mexican Tourist Board and was it Telecel?
Telcel, yeah. Plus, if you think about Perez's last stint at McLaren, didn't go particularly well.
When he wasn't ready for it.
Yeah, but way back then, McLaren were Mercedes powered, Vodafone sponsored. right now McLaren would
Making
kill
their,
to get
making their own cartoon series. I miss Tuned.
yeah. Right now, McLaren would kill to get some decent sponsorship on that car, even if it is just Mexican sponsorship that Perez brings in
Well,
with him.
back then they were world championship contenders.
Yeah, now
They're not.
No.
And of course, getting extra sponsorship on the car would probably save Zach Brown's ass as well, because he said first and foremost that's his job to get some sponsorship into the team.
Yeah, they've had a few, but there's still no main title sponsor. Is there?
Kimoa doesn't count.
No. Kimoa
And of course, if
count.
Alonso goes, presumably the Kimoa goes.
But if McLaren still own Alonso and they put him in another series,
That's true.
he'll, wherever
sell
he,
all of his hats.
yeah, wherever he lays his hat, that's
Uh-huh.
well,
That's where he sells
why
it.
That's why he'll do all 3 series, so he can sell 3 times as many hats.
That's
The
a good
Triple
point.
Crown.
The literal triple crown.
Yeah. No, I'm sure Kimoa.
Dan has just won tonight's podcast.
I'm sure Kimoa Indy 500 hats were a thing, and I'm sure Kimoa Le Mans hats are now a thing.
They
didn't-
were.
Didn't
They
you,
were.
didn't you see the Romain Grosjean tribute hat that he was wearing
Yeah.
all weekend? It had the
No.
number 8 and the French flag on it.
Oh no, I didn't see that. No.
Yeah.
Clearly has forgiven Romain Grosjean for trying to take his head off at Spa a few years
Yes.
ago. Yeah. Oh well. So yeah, that's as pivotal as it is. It's strange to think that the Le Mans result has basically shaped the future of it's cracked open the silly season, isn't it? It's shaped.
And
the
we've not
future
even
of
got as far
F1.
as Lewis Hamilton hasn't signed a deal yet. Valtteri Bottas hasn't signed a deal yet. Danny Ricciardo hasn't signed a deal yet.
Kimi Raikkonen hasn't signed a deal yet.
Though I think Hamilton's is sounding pretty solid that he'll be staying at Mercedes.
He left his last deal quite late as well.
Yeah,
didn't he?
by all accounts, his deal is basically done. They're just sort of quibbling over how many days they want him to do PR stuff.
Yeah.
and-
Don't forget, Hamilton now negotiates his own contracts.
Yes.
He has no manager. He negotiates himself. So he has to go through the small print and sometimes go to Toto Wolff and go, what do you mean by this?
Yeah.
Rather than having a manager who goes through it for him. So doing that as well as everything else that a driver's supposed to do, it's got to take a little bit longer, isn't
But
it?
of course,
And I
don't forget, Lewis Hamilton's last manager was the same as the Spice Girls' old manager, so he's all tied up with Red Bull these days.
Yes.
Sorry, I think I've just thrown a curveball and I've got a cat next to me as well. The whole
knocked
Danny
my
Ricciardo
keys off
thing,
the side.
that's... Is he going to be left without a choice of teams to go to, or does that depend on what Raikkonen does or what Ferrari do?
I don't know if Danny Ricciardo. I don't know if Danny Ricciardo will want to leave Red Bull at the current moment in time.
I think a lot of it will come down to the engine.
Yeah, which is another news story. Red Bull have got to decide what engines they're using for next year.
Yeah, I mean, it's been...
Is it by the end of French Grand Prix weekend?
I think Honda wanted it about
Renault.
now.
Renault wanted it last month.
Yeah. I think if it's going to be Renault, we'll get the announcement this weekend in France.
If we don't get an
If
announcement,
we don't get an announcement this weekend, it'll be at Austria at their home race where Red Bull at the Red Bull Ring announce an engine partnership
with Honda.
with Honda for 2 seasons. So don't you just love Tuesdays?
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah, every bloody week. You might have noticed there's a jump cut,
Yes,
Yeah.
probably will be.
and we recorded last night.
Yeah, about 11 hours before Red Bull announced their new engine supply deal.
That would be the one.
Excellent. First thing I saw when I opened my laptop this morning. Red Bull, new engine deal.
So yes, they've gone with Honda.
Yes, as we expected. We
Yeah.
talked about this last night when we recorded, that we thought that's the way. they were
Depending on how I edit this, you may have already heard it, or you may be about to hear it.
Spoilers.
We're good at them.
Yes.
So, what does that mean? Because it's going to be 2 Honda teams.
Yes, and fewer Renault teams.
Yeah. Renault have... Well, you've seen the press release. It's
Yes.
very...
They didn't dump us, honest.
Yeah, mutual agreement.
Yeah, it's fine. It suits us both. We have 2 cars fewer data about our engine. It's fine.
Yeah, of course. Renault are going to cope. And their main team is their main priority has always been the factory team.
Of course, that's why it's not the quickest Renault-powered car on the grid.
It probably will be next year.
Well, yeah, it probably will be
Yeah.
next year.
Obviously, that's going to leave McLaren looking embarrassed if Red Bull get a lot out of the Honda with their chassis, which might actually be the best on the grid rather than the McLaren one.
Yeah.
Or at this rate, if there is a McLaren next year. Oh no, sorry, that's Williams. So yeah, we thought we'd record this extra bit just to say bloody Tuesdays.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
So we'll get back to the wild speculation now before we knew anything official. So yeah.
Until Aston Martin can get their asses into
Yeah,
gear.
until the new engine regs come in.
Porsche have been linked with Red Bull quite recently as well.
Do Aston Martin and Porsche have a tie-in anywhere?
Not that I know of.
Surely any new engine manufacturer though isn't going to come in until 2021 because
Yeah.
is there any point in
Well,
building
that's why
and
you want the
developing an
two. That's
engine
why
now?
you want the
Yeah.
2-year deal and then the
Yeah.
Aston Martin or the Porsche.
Yeah, yeah.
Unless you've spent the last 3 years secretly building an engine and testing the absolute living shit out of it. Because you're not in Formula One, so you're not bound by any rules that govern Formula One.
Tinfoil hat time.
Maybe.
Yeah, that could be a thing. That'd be bloody surprising. But no, I think that's the way it's going to go. If it's Renault, they'll announce it this weekend. If we don't get an announcement this weekend, I'm pretty certain they'll announce it in Austria that it's Honda.
There's a German.
I think it's going to be Honda.
I think it'll be Honda.
There's a German Grand Prix this year, isn't there?
There
Yes.
is.
Yeah. So Porsche are Stuttgart based, which is not really anywhere near. So yeah, I would probably Austria if it's Honda, and if it's Porsche later in the season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, I can't see it being Porsche, but I think we'll get we'll get them taking all the headlines at their own circuit in Austria, regardless of win or lose. It's all going to be about the Red Bull Honda deal for next year.
And Red Bull Honda might decide Danny Ricciardo's future.
Yeah.
As to whether he sticks or twists.
Yeah. I mean, that was the other thing. While we're on the subject of Red Bull, Dan, you found about Brendan Hartley getting all the plaudits from the team.
Well, from Helmut Marko.
In comparison to everything that he's been suffering from recently.
It's more the damning with faint praise, yes. Apparently, Helmut Marko
hottest
is...
guy in Maine syndrome.
Hottest guy in Maine. It's a thing.
Hottest guy in Maine, Brendan Hartley, is no longer under quite as much threat as he was, because Helmut Marko thinks he's done sort of okay-ish, and probably won't fire him.
Which was German, was it Motorsport magazine?
Motorsport magazine, yes.
Yeah, which has conducted an interview with Helmut Marko, has been roughly translated, but that seems to be the general gist of the interview, is that Hartley is competitive now,
Yeah,
which is odd.
he's getting better, which is what they want to see from him.
He has a positive trajectory.
Yes.
Yeah, seriously though, they have no one else, and any former driver. I think they burnt too many bridges. It was Hartley that approached the team.
Yeah, I think the biggest asset Hartley's got is the super license.
Yeah,
There's not a great deal of other drivers around that team that have got that.
Also, Hartley does tend to be quite calm, doesn't really lose his cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah, in a high pressure situation, in any, it doesn't matter where he is, on the grid. If he's
well, yeah, because he's a Kiwi. He's not used to arguing with people because there's only nine other people in New Zealand.
so when he's
And one of them 72.
Yeah.
Exactly.
when that's thrown my train of thought completely now. But yeah, if Brendan Hartley's running 17th and Gasly's up in 7th, I mean, all right, okay, he might not look great against his teammate, but you haven't got somebody hot headed who's losing their cool and making mistakes. They're just perhaps not quite as on the pace and maybe not got the luck that the other teammates had. It just appears to be the case with Antipody and Red Bull drivers.
Yeah, I think that's it's third time around.
Yeah.
You mentioned Gasly. That was something that we both got surprised at the weekend when
Yes.
Gasly turned up in the pits at Le Mans.
It was in the G-Speed garage, which was Vern's team.
Yeah, no sponsored gear whatsoever, and it turns out Pierre Gasly does not have any personal sponsors. This is what the Red Bull Young Driver Program does to people. They're in it from that much of an early age, and Red Bull handle everything. And this is why we see him go through so many drivers, and there's all these drivers perfectly capable, that disappear off the radar, they don't have their own outside sponsorship.
No, as soon as they're out of the Red Bull deal, that's it.
Yeah,
That's
they
it,
have
yeah.
no.
Line
They can't
dry.
buy their way into another team because they don't have
Yeah.
the sponsors
They
for
don't have
that.
anything because he turned up just in all
Plain white T-shirt
Yeah.
and a lanyard. Yeah.
So
Not even wearing Red Bull gear.
No.
he wasn't. He wasn't.
I
there as
imagine
part
if
of
he
Red
was
Bull.
there as Vern's friend, Vern probably didn't want him in Red Bull gear.
Yeah, that's
But
a
it,
good point.
it does make you wonder where the younger drivers would be put off the Red Bull program.
I mean, they've got plenty of sort of 15, 16-year-olds at the moment. They're still bringing them in.
Yeah, but basically there's 2 good seats. And if you don't get them, you're not in Formula One. You're not going to go to Haas or Sauber or one of the mid-grid teams. Your only direction is into the Red Bull team or out.
Yeah. And 9 times out of 10, once you leave Red Bull, you're finished.
Yeah.
Yeah, is it Sebastian Vettel? Sebastian Vettel went to Ferrari. Mark Webber retired.
Sainz has gone to Renault.
Yeah, so he
Well,
didn't
Sainz
make
is
it
still
into
a
Still
Red Bull
technically,
driver.
technically on the
but he didn't
payroll.
make
Yeah.
it into the Red Bull main team.
Yeah.
No.
Christian Klein retired.
Coulthard,
David Coulthard retired. So
Um,
is Vettel the only driver to go into a Red Bull that's gone on to another team in Formula One?
Technically, Kvyat is with Ferrari.
He's not a
But not
race
in
driver,
the
though, is he?
car,
No,
no.
because Buemi was. Again, Buemi never actually made it into Red Bull, did he? He's just a
He was
reserve
test
driver.
driver, I
Yeah,
think. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I think Vettel is the only one to have actually gone on to another team after being at the Red Bull team.
I'm just looking this up. It's good old left-handed googling.
I think there might be one.
Christian Klein was at Jaguar in 2004 and HRT in 2010.
Everyone was at HRT for a race, though.
Yeah, including Tony Liuzzi
Yeah.
in 2011.
Well, Jaguar became Red Bull, didn't they?
That's true, actually.
Did he just come with the sale?
Yeah, I think. Yeah,
Yeah, I think
sitting
there was.
tenant.
I think there was one driver went out of the Red Bull program and into Caterham. I can't.
Danny Rick did something with HRT before the
before-
season
before
before he
Red Bull.
went into
He
Toro Rosso.
was he was on loan from Red
Yeah.
Bull because he took Red Bull sponsorship to HRT.
Yes,
Because I think he
because
started.
they needed it, didn't they? Let's
yeah,
be
yeah,
honest.
I think he started at Silverstone 2010. I
That
think
sounds
it was.
about right.
Caterham drivers,
I'm just having a look, and
Heikki Kovalainen, Charles Peak,
no, there's
Vitaly
nobody.
Petrov.
Nobody I can see here.
Marcus Ericsson was a Caterham driver. That's how long he's
Yep.
been around.
Yeah, there's nobody that I can see here apart from Klein and Liuzzi, who went on to race for or went on to be in HRT. Apart from Vettel, obviously.
yeah, Vettel's the only one who's moved out of the team and sort of stayed in the sport.
Yeah. So it's poison chalice.
I think it's if you go there, you have to really back yourself, don't you? If you decide I'm going to get to F1 as a Red Bull driver,
Yeah,
and I have to be the best.
yeah. I mean, I don't think Danny Rick or Max Verstappen would have too many issues if they both put their hands up tomorrow and went, we're leaving Red Bull because we disagree with the Honda deal and we want to go and drive somewhere else. I'm pretty sure somebody would go,
Yeah.
we'll have you, and somebody else would go, we'll have
We'll
you.
find a seat for you.
I
Don't
don't
worry
think
They
about it.
would be able to get the personal sponsorship.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I don't think you'd end up with, Mercedes.
Well, that's the other thing we were saying. Danny Rick's a rarity because he actually does have the personal sponsor with that car supermarket whose hats he wears.
Yeah, he's got clothes. He's got his own clothing line as well of
Yeah.
crazy shorts.
And he's part of the Blue Coast Brewing Company as well,
Oh, is he?
Oh yeah, him and
there you
Jensen
go.
Button, isn't it?
and Natalie Pinkham.
Was she part of it as well?
Yeah, him, Jensen Button, Natalie Pinkham, and some other people I've never heard of.
So the actual people that make the beer. And
Probably,
invent
yes.
the beer.
Do we need to do a taste test?
Probably.
Yeah,
Why
well, we
the
may
hell
need to
not?
order it because I don't.
Do
think
we,
it's
or do we
available.
need to ask them to send us it because we'll be mentioning it?
Yeah,
I
let's do
think
that.
they should send
I
us
think they
some.
should.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's ask Blue Coast Brewery to send us a crate of their blonde beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all a fan of blonde beer.
Yeah,
Yeah, why
Well,
not?
it's summer and it's the ideal time to
is.
drink blonde beers.
Yes.
Shall we move on after that blatant pleading?
Send us your beer.
For free.
Yeah, talking of teams that are doing blatant pleading and a skint and can't afford to buy a beer or let alone a car. What is going on with Williams again? Part 375.
Not starting work on their car.
Yeah, they're going to carry on developing this year's car and not start on next year's too early. Now, Sean, you wrote
Yes.
you wrote this up.
I did.
Could you make sense of why they're doing it?
Yes and no. Claire Williams says it's basically because if they give up on this year, their sponsors will abandon them, and they're very reliant on their sponsors. So that I understand, but you would
don't.
think the sponsors should understand that they need to focus on next year so that they don't have another 2018.
I don't understand that because Martini have already said they're pulling out at the end
Well,
of
there
this
is
year.
that. There is
So-
that.
There's different rules for 2019, isn't there? The aero's
aero.
being changed a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon if you call all your sponsors in and say, look, this year, it's shit, we're just going to write it off and we're going to put everything into being better next year, I reckon
Would you
most
like to
of
extend
them,
the deal with us
most
into
of them
next
would
year?
probably be like, all right, fair enough, we understand that.
Or are they better off working to try and fix the problems with this year's car to understand them before starting the work on next year's
Well, the
car?
amount of people that are shipping out of Williams at the moment, I don't think they understand the problem, let alone start to knowing how to fix
Problem
it.
is, by all accounts, caused by the steering affecting the aero coming over the front wing, going onto the back. Was something
That's what
I read
causes the
by
aerodynamic
Andrew
stall.
Benson off of the BBC wrote that, and he's usually very good.
Yeah, and we've
So
had,
I believe him.
When we had Scarbs on the show many weeks back now, he was talking about that aerodynamic stall.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is apparently what causes it. Basically, they've not taken into account the different angle of the tyres when they're turned, which seems fairly
Basic?
Yeah, you would think cars always turn.
Well, they're
That's
going to
not
have
a new
to.
concept.
Yeah.
I don't know. I watched some drag racing the other night. Then again, one of them turned.
Yes,
It probably shouldn't have.
and then it was probably on fire.
Yes, it was. I like it when the parachutes deploy early. They build up all the revs. They tear off the starting line. They get up to full speed, accidentally hit the parachute deployment button, and start slowing down about halfway down the race.
Oops.
Yeah.
Yeah, too early.
Nobody gets hurt, but somebody looks like a complete div. The thing is, though, if they carry on developing this year's car or working on the problems with this year's car, which is aero-based, and it's aero that's changing for next year, then how much of what they're doing this year will be actually valid or worthwhile towards what is going on next year? 'Cause
Well, you've got no real testing. So what they know is what they did for this year's car on a computer works on the computer, doesn't work around a race circuit. So what's the best thing to do? Is it to sit down in front of a computer and design a new car, which will work on the computer? Or is it to go around the racing circuit until you've actually got the car that you've got sorted out and then say, right, let's not make that mistake on next year's car?
In theory, yes, but when you've got two drivers that are stuck pootling round at the back,
Yeah.
3 laps off the pace, what worthwhile data are they getting? And with the best will in the world, how much feedback are they actually able to get from Stroll and Sorokin when Lance Stroll's classic quote, "What's up with the car? Everything."
Yeah.
Well, perhaps if everything wasn't wrong with it, then that would be useful feedback.
I mean, I think he did complain during Monaco at one point that his seat wasn't right. I think everything was wrong for him then. So,
Wasn't it? His ass was burning at some point as well,
oh,
wasn't it?
possibly.
And,
That
he-
would be a problem.
He got thigh cramp.
Oh no.
He also didn't know when he clipped the barriers, so I wouldn't worry about Lance Stroll's feedback too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're maybe not the two drivers you would want feeding back on.
On a car
troubled
that's
car.
got. This is the thing. I mean, you can't. Can you develop your way out of a terrible car to make it a competitive car? My answer to that is no. I don't think you can develop a terrible car to become a competitive car.
I think
15 years ago, I'd say yes when there was unlimited testing.
Yeah, but they. That's the thing. They haven't got any.
I think if you
in-season
look at the
testing.
Mercedes last year,
They must really believe in that car.
the Mercedes last year, which they said was a diva, and they could get it right if the tyres were at the right temperature and all the conditions were fine.
But they very quickly understood the problems with that.
Yeah.
Once they understood the problems, it was a perfectly good car.
Yeah, the thing is, it doesn't look like Williams even understand the problems. They kind of know what the problem is, but they don't know what's causing it or how to stop it or how to fix it.
But once they get there, the car could well be back in the midfield where you'd expect Williams to be.
I think their best bet, rather than their work as such, is more when other teams start to think, do we keep with this year's car or do we start looking to next year's car? If someone like Haas or Toro Rosso starts
developing next year's
and
car.
they start picking up a few bits, that's when maybe they could start catching. But I don't think it's going to be their work as such. I think it might be because someone else drops back.
Yeah.
And things like engine penalties will start coming into play then, whereas Williams have the Mercedes, which is pretty reliable.
And
So
haven't been
far.
running it very hard.
No, that's also very true.
Yeah, the only things that needed to change have been what's wrecked in accidents,
Yeah.
which unfortunately there's been a couple too many of.
There has, but again, can you blame the drivers when they've got such an awful aerodynamic fault with the car?
Not in the slightest, no.
And so was it Australia? Sorokin got what, a plastic bag stuck in the brake duct?
That was just pure dumb luck.
Yeah, yeah. So it overheated the brake duct and then
Yeah.
it didn't work.
Yeah, I mean we've seen that happen to other cars. I can't remember who it was last season. The brakes failed because they got a tear off in the brake
Yeah.
duct.
Yeah, that happens, which is why the debate started about putting them in a bin.
The bin in the cockpit.
Yeah,
I don't understand why you don't just tuck it under your bum, really, to be honest.
I don't think there's actually the room to get your
Get your
arm
hand-
in
maybe.
because
Maybe.
you've got the tear off. You move your arm as far as you can. I think if you look at the drivers when they're taking the tear off,
It is a bit of a
their
contortion
elbow
trick.
doesn't actually.
Yeah.
Their elbow doesn't move because there's no movement in there because the cockpits are now that tight that you couldn't get a mantle in there.
no, absolutely not. So yeah, it's an interesting one, really. Sort of Williams' issues, but you know they've got to get around them one way or another.
Yeah, I just don't know how, and I don't know. I'm fearing for the future of Williams.
I am, because they appear to be doing everything backwards.
They're becoming the new Tyrrell.
Yeah,
I'm just hoping that they're becoming the new Sauber and they can turn it around.
I hope so. I really hope so. I love Williams. You know, my earliest memories in Formula One are of Williams winning world championships.
They are for me as well, but it'd be a different generation of driver. I remember
Yeah.
Alan Jones.
Nigel Mansell, and then Alain Prost, and yeah, and then of course we had a couple of years of Schumacher before Damon Hill and Jacques Villeneuve.
Yeah.
So, yeah, sad, but you know they are their own worst enemy.
I think that's the British manufacturing way of doing things, though, isn't it?
It's the British way of doing things.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. What else have we got? Ah, yes, the big knee-jerk reaction to Flaggate.
The Formula One are looking at an automatic checkered flag system. Now, what is this? Is this a robot with an arm, or is this just a screen that's going to show a
This
checkered
is-
flag?
On the start lights, there's a section of screen that can be personalised for each race for the race sponsor. I think it had Rolex on it, various different ones. I think it would have had Heineken last weekend. And I think Charlie Whiting has said they could use that to display
The
basically
checkered flag.
black and white squares, yeah. And that would override anyone waving a actual flag.
And why not? The start's automated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They
It-
still
it- long gone are the-
have the flag waving for the
Yeah.
sort of ceremonial reasons.
Yeah, but I mean, long gone are the days when you would, you'd see your man out on the guy at the Australian Grand Prix at Adelaide with the very colourful jackets who would do the very flourish sort of flag wave.
Oh, the Aussie Kai Abel.
Yeah, yeah. And
No,
then,
he's been quiet this year, by the way.
Oh,
Kai
give
Abel.
it time. He's saving
Yeah.
himself. He's saving himself for the German Grand Prix.
Yeah, he's probably psyching himself up for it. I have been in the gym, yeah.
He's plugged his trousers in and they're on full charge
Yes.
right now.
Painted them a new colour.
Yeah, all of the fluorescent colours in one. Yeah, you used to get the guy in Canada as well. We just had the Canadian Grand Prix. The guy who used to, he used to do quite elaborate flag waving as well.
Yeah.
Long gone are the days when the guy or woman would stand on the line.
Oh no, it was usually a bloke because there was always a blazer involved because motorsport used to be run by sensible men in sensible blazers.
Yeah, long on, they stand on the line with the flag there and then just lift it as the car went past. that doesn't happen anymore. Way too dangerous. It's if a flag is waved, it's waved up in a tower that's barely visible to drivers until they're underneath it.
Yeah.
So they make sense to me. Having a big LED display, flashing or not, checkered flag, race end, I don't care, whatever. If it's going to make it easier, do it.
And yes, it is a knee-jerk reaction, but it's one that makes a lot of sense nowadays.
An awful lot of sense.
I mean, they've got the automated screens around the rest of the course with showing blue flags, yellow flags, VSC, red flags even.
So why not checkered flag?
Yeah, so why not have that there, but keep the flag waving, because waving a checkered flag is part of motorsport. Usually the last part.
Yeah,
before
generally,
anyone says anything.
Yeah, I mean, it's the old thing, isn't it? When somebody crosses a line and so takes the checkered flag, because they used to actually take the flag and go around the course with it.
I think, do they do
Way
this
back.
at Le Mans? I think.
Yeah,
They
I
still
think
attach the flag to the winning car.
Although, as we saw at the MotoGP, what was it this weekend?
Oh, the Jorge Lorenzo land flag and hammer.
Yes.
This is Jorge Lorenzo's traditional celebration. He goes into a gravel trap and puts his flag with his logo on.
Yeah.
But I think last time he won at Circuit de Catalunya, which is where they were this weekend, he had problems getting the flag in, so a marshal brought him like a Thor's hammer type number, and he hammered it in.
Okay, fair enough.
Which is not in any way related to checkered flags of F1, but...
No, but I mean, MotoGP and other sports have more elaborate slow-down laps and,
Yeah.
things.
Does MotoGP still have the guy who skips between the bikes at the start waving a green flag?
I think he's at the back, is he not?
The
He
point
does the
about the back
green
now,
flag,
like
and
the,
then they have the
like the
lights
F1.
come
Like
on,
the
and
F1
then they
marshal
go off.
does,
Yeah.
Unfortunately not. Then again, after the way MotoGP's gone recently, if you're between the bikes before the start of the race when they're foaming up on the grid, you're still just as likely to get run over.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll automate that guy walking across the back of the grid now as well. Even though it has to be human inspection, and that's what that green flag is for, human inspection, the track is clear, the race is ready to start. That's, they'll try and automate that as
Yeah,
well.
send a drone over or something.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
But I personally think it's a good idea, but there's been too much fuss over one mistake made by one race official giving a flag to one
Yeah.
person a lap early.
Yeah, pretty much.
If they want to have something automated that deals with the finish, here's an idea: an automated lap counter in that box.
Might
Yes. Yeah.
Then the person that gives the flag to the flag waver will know what lap they're on.
Yeah, I mean, ceremonious flag wavers, whether it be for sponsors or celebrities or whatever, they will, they're not going to miss out on anything. They should be able to still wave the flag, but it's not going to be a detriment to the sport, is it? If you,
Although it's still easy for someone who's not familiar with the sport to wave the flag when
it's being counted,
the
in front of
counter
them.
flips from 59 out of 60 to 60 out of 60,
Yeah.
instead of waiting for the end of the 60th out of 60 laps.
Yeah, or wave now. That's
Yeah.
all I have to say.
Chris,
Yeah.
could you stop hitting your mic cable or
Is that-
try and
Oh,
reseat
no.
it because it's clicking?
I'm sorry.
You might need to just jiggle your cable a bit.
I thought you wanted the opposite of the cable jiggling.
That's seated in there now.
Yeah,
that
I think
groove.
there was a loose connection.
Oh, sorry. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's working. That's
I'm
working.
very
now.
sorry, listeners, if I've been a little bit clicky
Spiky.
and
I'm hoping that
Spiky.
mixes out. The clicks were that loud. The headphones were
I
next to me.
heard
And
some
I could
clicking,
hear
and I assumed it was one of the cats being a knob.
it. To be honest, I actually thought it was a podcast, but no, it was a dodgy microphone connection.
oops.
It's always you that ends up with a dodgy connection on the microphone. Doesn't matter which microphone or which cable you use.
No, it's me.
You are the nemesis of recording equipment.
Just magnetic man, aren't I?
You are. Shall we preview the French Grand Prix this weekend?
Yeah, why not? It's it's happening, and it's a difficult one to preview because it's the return of the circuit Paul Ricard for the first time since what, 91?
I think 1990 rings a bell, but that was on the short track. I think it was the 80s last time they used the full.
Gonna say the last
full
time they
circuit.
used the full
Right, okay.
Yeah.
circuit would have been.
It's been everywhere, hasn't it, the French Grand Prix? They've had, look at all those different pictures there.
Yeah.
Manicourt, Le Mans
Magny-Court.
Bugatti circuit.
Yeah, Paul's
Magny-Court
just
is what-
scrolling down the Wikipedia page of the French Grand Prix and all the different tracks. are
Magny
mental.
Core is the one I remember
most.
Which threw up quite a few good Grand Prix.
Yeah, it really did. And I think I think that took over from Paul Ricard in the early
Yes.
90s.
In
And
That
ran
was
then-
most recent, wasn't it,
1991.
Magna
But
Carta?
the last time that anyone that they raced in the full Paul Ricard circuit was in 1985.
that was the last
Was
time
that
they
the
did the full
Keke
circuit.
Rosberg?
No,
Win
that was
we were-
won by Nelson Piquet and a Brabham.
Ah,
Nelson Piquet Senior.
Senior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Nelson Piquet Jr. might have been about 2 months old around about
Yeah,
there.
probably. So wow, yeah. So, but the track's obviously been remodeled quite heavily since then. All the runoff areas of the pictures we've seen, lots of blue and white.
It
Sorry,
looks
blue
like
and
it could-
grey
yeah.
concrete runoff.
Blue, I think
But
some
they-
yellow in there as well.
Yeah,
it looks
they-
quite hypnotic.
It was a test track for a while. So
Bernie Ecclestone's test
Bernie
track, wasn't
Ecclestone's
it?
test track.
Do you still own it?
I'm not entirely sure. But what they did with all the different runoff areas was it was opening it up to the FIA to test what surfaces worked best for keeping cars under control when they were off track. And they've just basically kept the colour scheme. Let me find the.
They do the same
information
sort of thing in
about
Abu
it.
Dhabi, don't they? The last section of Abu Dhabi is all blue.
It's
and
yeah, it's
concrete
it's a
stripe
similar
like that.
kind of look, isn't it?
Yeah, but this is lots of it all the way
Yeah,
around.
I
so-
think it could be something. If there's a lot of aerial shots, it could get a bit heavy on
Yeah.
the eyes.
And a lot of the current cropper drivers as well have raced at Le Castellet in junior formula, because a lot of the ones that come up through European formula, they still have junior races there. It's just this is the first time the big guns have been back for a long time. It also seems right that there's a French Grand Prix. Am I right with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's been some years since there was a French Grand Prix, and France is one of the
It was a bit
mainstays
of a
of
shock
motor
to
racing.
lose it, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was at the time. Yeah,
It was a good race.
was it 2009, 2008?
2008.
Yeah, the last Magny Corps.
Yes.
Yeah. Shame, because as Dan was saying, it threw up some really good races.
Yeah.
And it's always been part of a sort of big day of sport as well. It's a shame they moved it about in the calendar this year, because I think there was one year, possibly 2002. It was on the same day as the World Cup final and the Wimbledon final, so there was it's like everything going on.
Oh wow.
I
Okay.
think the Wimbledon final now is always around about British Grand Prix.
Yeah,
92, I can tell you for definite, when Andre Agassi was winning Wimbledon. That was the same day as Nigel Mansell won the British Grand Prix.
with his wig.
No, he didn't have his wig on then. He was starting to go bald.
Before the wig and before the crystal meth addiction.
Yeah.
Ah.
Right.
Yeah. But before he'd fully admitted he was going bald.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is to clarify. This is Andre Agassi's crystal meth
Not
addiction,
Nigel
not Nigel
Mansell.
Mansell's.
That's one lawsuit we don't want bringing against us.
Yeah. I think it was Agassi beat McEnroe at the Wimbledon final, and Mansell won the Grand Prix. And I want to say it was July the 5th, 1992.
Tinwall Day.
I think it was Sunday, July the 5th. Might-
We can look that up later and get confirmation. So what do we know about the circuit's, I don't know, characteristics against the cars? Is it going to be a power circuit? Possibly.
It is meant to be a power circuit. I've seen that mentioned quite a lot.
A lot of acceleration, but also an awful lot of downforce needed
Yeah,
as well.
lots of long straights. It'll be interesting to see what they do with DRS. I don't know that that's been announced yet.
I'm going
2 zones,
For,
do you think?
I'm going for 2 zones. One on the what was the long straight that they've now put a chicane in.
Yeah.
It'll be on the first part of that, and the second one over the start finish straight.
Which is quite short, isn't it? The start finish straight at the Castellet.
It's
It's
about-
not the longest straight on
It's
the
about the
track.
second longest straight on the circuit.
Yeah.
So I reckon that those will be the 2. It's very hard to tell because we've not got this on the F1 2017 game, so we can't actually predict. Then again,
We can't give the benefit of our experience.
no, and then again they keep changing it before the races anyway. Who predicted 3 in Canada?
And
Yes.
it didn't really add anything, did it? Let's be honest.
No, this is why I think there's only going to be 2, because they
Yeah.
tried it with 3. It's like, oh, knee-jerk reaction didn't work. Right, we'll never do that again,
No.
even if it warrants it. If we're looking at a high-speed circuit, this could be a Ferrari Mercedes straight fight in qualifying, and then we get a procession.
Mercedes bringing their new engines with them too.
They're meant to be, but they said this time before Canada they were meant to be, and then I think it was only about the Wednesday that they decided no. So
Yeah.
as things stand, yes.
And as things stand, they are due for an engine change on both cars
Yes.
because they've both run a third of the season
Yeah.
without major replacements. So if they were to replace any components now, whichever driver got spec 1, we'll say, components, would be stuck with them for another 7 races.
Mm-hmm.
So unless they have been seriously engine saving all the way through the season. And
I think that's what Mercedes are banking on, because Ferrari have had a couple of blow-ups already.
Yeah,
I think Vettel's had 1, as in Raikkonen's had 2 already.
possibly.
I think Vettel's was mostly savable, though, salvageable. So Raikkonen's already on like the last of some of his components. Vettel's on the second of some of his. And now Mercedes are only just, all right, okay, they might have given up Canada, but they're now just like, yeah, go on, stick that second one in, that upgraded one. We'll call that one number 2. It's like, wow, okay. So yeah, I think they're banking on sort of back end of the season flyaway races. Ferrari struggling reliability wise or having to turn the engine down to look after their power units, and Mercedes being like, we're all right, we don't have to, we're okay.
So kind of like what we saw last year, really.
A little bit, yeah. For Mercedes is sort of back into the season pulling away a bit just because they've kept that reliability in their pocket, if you will.
one thing that I think is going to be interesting is tyre wear. Especially for the drivers that kind of like to explore the track limits as wide as possible. Because the runoff areas are meant to be massively abrasive. Because, again, of all the configuration testing.
Yeah, and it's also
surface testing. So they made these abrasive runoff areas.
Well, it should be
to slow
punishable
cars
as well.
down and keep them in control. And there's a lot of ultra softs on the list this weekend.
Unless you're Red Bull.
I think that's more to do with the power unit, the Red Bull one. They know they're not going to get pole, so
they're going
have
for long
better race
strategy in
tyres.
the race.
Yeah, I assume that's what that's
Yeah,
about.
because they've gone for fewer ultra softs than everyone else, haven't they? I think 7 pairs.
Yeah, which is unusual
Each.
for
7
them.
pairs.
They 7.
7 sets. Pairs, sets. I know what I mean. I know what I mean.
Yeah, no, Red Bull are ones that normally tend to go with more of the softer ones than the other two of the front runners. So, bit of a change of strategy for them. But
Yeah, well, Williams have gone out the other way, and
Yes.
10 sets apiece. So I think they're expecting a lot of time off the track and tyre shredding, which probably could happen.
I'm all right with abrasive runoff areas, because
yeah,
it
you
kind
should
of,
be punished for
yeah,
going
exactly.
off the
Yeah,
track.
you should be punished. So if you run wide and that scrubs like in a lap of the life of your tyres off because you ran wide there, then you're probably not going to run so wide so often.
Yeah, I don't want people using going off the track as a strategy.
No. Track limits. They don't let you do it on the PlayStation.
Yeah. you don't get away with it at Monaco.
No.
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 So,
Well, you do if you're Lance Stroll because you just don't admit that you've done it.
Yeah, you don't notice.
Something's wrong with my car. Yes, Lance, you just hit the barrier, you absolute wolf.
I think Ericsson might have hit me.
No, that was Grosjean.
Grosjean hit him?
No.
There's a good chance.
That was Grosjean in Baku, wasn't it? Oh,
Yeah.
I think Ericsson hit me. No, he was miles away from
Yeah,
you.
it was Grosjean's engineer, in fairness to...
Oh, was his engineer? Yeah. I think it was Ericsson. No, it was nowhere near you.
Yeah, he might have hit it 2 races ago. It's long-lasting damage that we didn't notice. Do we have any predictions this week?
Honestly, no.
No,
Tricky.
We can go around the table and get some predictions if we want to, but
Yeah,
I mean, it's going to be really tough
because
to.
Lee didn't send any in, I'm giving his predictions.
Alonso.
Alonso, Sorokin, Stroll.
Yes.
That's Lee's top 3.
That's Lee's top 3.
And he's going for a hero of...
Who does he really hate?
Lance Stroll.
Lance Stroll.
his hero is going to be Romain Grosjean. And his villain is going to be...
Jensen Button.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. That's Lee's predictions.
Serve you right for taking holidays during the season.
I think we're either going to get a really, really boring race because everyone's going to be tiptoeing around because they don't know the circuit too well.
Baku year one.
Baku year one. Or an interesting, unpredictable race because no one knows what strategy to use.
Yeah.
And
I think we're more in for
Baku year two.
Baku year two, some people get it wrong.
Yeah. I think it might be a bit of a, and this is nothing to do with my point that I was going to raise about Formula One protecting itself and drivers and teams driving way too slowly, to just protecting their engines and their tyres. That's not what Formula One should be about in my eyes, and I'm not willing to sit through another version of Canada that we saw a couple of weeks back. But I think this might be a bit of a bore fest, a la Sochi year one, because it'd just be a case of, well, let's not do anything too stupid and just sort of processional. And I don't think anybody will want to throw anything away at circuit, which could, it could prove quite costly at this stage of the season, especially when you're now looking at engine upgrades and things.
I
don't
think
wanna
what you
crash
might
in-
find around this period and then about 2/3 of the way through the season is people who've got new engines are treating them with kid gloves because they don't want to blow them up too soon.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
And people with old engines are treating them with kid gloves because they don't want to blow them up.
Yeah, that's it. I think that's the kind of race we're going to get. So I think we're in for another difficult race. But I am going to make a prediction. I'm going to say Bottas to win, Raikkonen second, and Hamilton third. Purely
I
just
really should
picked-
be writing these down, shouldn't I?
yeah, probably.
Normally, you have a panic when you're editing because you haven't written them down and then have to try and find where it is.
So that
in
was
the podcast.
Bottas to win,
Raikkonen second,
Raikkonen second,
Hamilton third.
Hamilton third.
I don't know where Vettel fits into this. I'm sure he probably will.
Did you take a note of Lee's predictions?
Yeah.
Oh, we'll make them up in a bit.
No, we already did.
Lee's
We can make
predictions?
them up again, make them different.
Alonso, Sorokin, Stroll, hero, Roman Grosjean, villain,
Jensen
Jensen
Button.
Button.
Right, that's Lee's predictions in there. They are written down. They'll be going on the website.
See, we're laughing now, but you watch, Alonso will win this race. He'll chuck it down.
He's on
and
form
McLaren
in
will win it.
France.
We'll be like, what have we done?
And how did Jensen Button manage to scare Hamilton like that so he crashed?
He peed in his seat. Anybody else?
Yeah, I'll go. I will go similar. I think it's going to be a Ferrari Mercedes dominated thing. I'm going to go Vettel, Raikkonen, Hamilton.
Vettel, Raikkonen, Hamilton.
Yes, I
Ferrari
think
won
'cause-
too.
Yeah, I think Ferrari just have that extra race on their new spec engine, whereas Mercedes are.
It's worn in. It's sort
Yeah,
of, they know what
they
to expect
know
from
what
it.
it's about. Mercedes are still going to be learning as they go.
Right. I'm going to go sort of similar, but I'm reversing your second and third places.
Ah.
So I am going for a Vettel win with... I've just typed in pet. I meant to type in Paul.
Pet
Petal.
Danilo Petrucci.
So a Vettel win, Hamilton in second, and Raikkonen third. I was half tempted to go for Bottas third, but I think Bottas will be within 2 seconds of third place.
I think Bottas is the reason I've gone for a Bottas win is because he just, I don't know, he just seems to adapt to these,
He's not
unknown
phased by stuff, is he?
No, he adapts to these unknown quantities quite well, and if it's just a case of
Of course, he's
keeping
not
it,
phased. He's finished.
Yeah,
Yeah. Your top speed is now 7,000 miles an hour.
good.
Yeah, all right.
okay, I will do that. Yeah, he just, yeah. If it's a case of just keeping it on the rails, hit the line, which is kind of what Formula One's all about anyway. Hit the apex every single lap, fairly processional race. Bottas is really good at that.
Yeah.
So that's why I think he'll be quite strong if that's the kind of race we're heading towards, and I think it is.
Right. I'm going to go kind of the opposite of Sean.
Okay.
I reckon that Mercedes will have the advantage over Ferrari. Either they'll have the new engine and oodles more power, or they'll have the old engine and go for shit or bust. If it explodes, it doesn't matter. They're going to have the new one by the next race. So, Hamilton, Bottas, Vettel.
Hamilton, Bottas, Vettel. Right, they are in and they are saved.
So nobody chose any Red Bull drivers for the top three.
No.
Yeah, there's 3 decent length straights on there which are pretty quick. I think that is what is going to count against Red Bull.
Yeah.
As good as that chassis is, I don't think the Renault engine is. I don't think it's going to be close to matching the speed of the top 2.
Well,
But if they've gone conservative on tyres, and if there's a safety car or two, which being a new circuit that could be, then you might see the Red Bulls do well.
yeah.
Assuming they qualify 5th and 6th, I think there's a chance one of them could sneak a podium if,
Yeah.
like you say,
They're
if
also-
something goes off.
Yeah, they've also said that they're not making the full potential of the upgrade given to them by Renault, Tag Heuer, because of fuel development.
Oh.
So they claim to be a little bit behind in fuel development for this engine upgrade. So we'll see if that comes to any fruition.
Red Bull still using Total for fuel?
I
or-
believe so.
No, did
I
they not
think-
switch to Mobile One when
Oh,
when
did
McLaren
they?
lost it?
Possibly, yes.
I don't know. I thought they were still using Total, but
But I mean, obviously, Total is the
It's French.
it's the preferred fuel for the Renault,
Renault,
engine.
yeah.
It's what Renault use themselves. Yeah.
yeah, you would assume if they were using the Renault fuel, it would all be fine. So yeah, they must be using something else.
So yeah, that may cause them problems.
Maybe.
I mean, it'd be good to see Renault getting a good result and actually beating a customer.
I was
beating a
scrolling.
team there.
I was scrolling back through previous race winners at Paul Ricard, and I know we're going back a long time for the full course, but Renaults and Hondas have done quite well previously.
Back when Renaults and Hondas were
Back
good.
in the day, yes.
Yeah, late 80s.
Like I say, this is a totally different era of
Completely,
engine,
yeah.
Let's have a look. Yeah, I mean, there was
Williams Honda, was it the one? was it
McLaren Honda,
perhaps?
I think, and possibly Williams Honda.
86 to 89. The race was won by a Honda engine 4 times on the trot.
Yeah,
Twice for Williams with Mansell and twice for McLaren with Prost.
yeah. That's when that Williams FW17 had FW17, FW14. No, not 14. FW11. Sorry, the FW11 had like a.
You could have just said car.
Yeah, he had
the Williams of the year.
that. The Williams of that era had 1,000 horsepower.
Yeah, that'll get you going.
Didn't always have the traction to put 1,000 horsepower down, but it had 1,000 horsepower at its disposal.
And don't forget, of course, in 99, different circuit, but a Honda engine actually did win.
In 99?
Yeah.
Did they race at Paul Ricard in 99?
No, it was at Magny-Cours, different circuit.
Oh,
but
right, okay.
Frentzen won in a Jordan.
Frentzen, good lord.
So, Honda have got previous in France. Can't see that happening this.
It's unlikely,
It is
isn't
very unlikely.
Yeah.
I know. Gasly said he ended up he was given the choice at Canada of whether or not he took the engine there or waited until France, and he decided he wanted to do it in Canada, so he didn't have a grid penalty at home.
You can
But
understand that.
I don't think that's because he thinks he's going to win at home. I think,
I think he just wanted to be as far up the grid as possible.
which is fine.
The extra tenth per lap that your home crowd gets you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be a thing. Shall we total shunt?
Oh, we can do.
Yes.
I
'Cause-
can see your laptop screen, so you will need to make some.
That's very honest of
maneuvers.
you, Sean. Very
It
honest.
is.
Who was this one sent in by?
This one was sent in by. Oh, just to say, we will be doing the live blog for the race as usual on
Yes.
Sunday. We'll be distracted up until about 20 minutes before lights out because there is an England game on.
Again.
So we'll be doing a 2-screen setup in our living room, and
Yes.
and we'll be concentrating fully on the race once it gets going.
Yes.
I think this is actually slightly later start than a European race, deliberately
10
because
past
of
3.
the
10 past
because of
3
the World
Central
Cup.
European time.
No, it's 10 past 3
sorry, 10
UK
past 3
time.
UK
UK time.
10 past 4 Central European time, just to fit in around the football.
Oh, right, okay.
So, right, total shunt. Theme tuneless tonight, mainly because the guitar's still in the hall. I didn't bring
And
it
I haven't
through.
written any words.
That's fair
I
enough.
never do.
Right, this was sent in by Bjorn Vanderhoff.
Hello, Bjorn.
Cool.
I've seen Bjorn contribute things on Facebook before. So
Yeah, I think he's a sort of regular contributor. But his contribution this week starts, I was born
yes, well done, Bjorn.
in 1979.
Okay.
A good vintage.
1979.
So this is the one who will be turning 39 this year.
Yes.
Good.
Okay. Clue 2. My dad was a national champion in rallycross.
Okay.
This sounds like.
Yes.
This sounds like the one
Let's
we
not
had.
go there.
It's not. It's not. I can promise you it's not. I can see the answer.
Okay, all right. My dad was a national champion in rallycross, like Jensen Button's dad.
Jensen Button, I don't believe, was born in 1979.
No, I think he was born in 1980, wasn't he?
I think Kimi Räikkönen might have been born in 1979, and I think comes from a rallying world.
He's from Finland.
Family-wise. Well, yeah, not just
yeah.
Finland. I mean, yeah, family.
Rallying is part of the
It's
driving
how they get
test.
to the shops, really, isn't it? I'm
Part of
off
the
to
bloody school
Tesco
curriculum.
sideways.
Third clue, and then I'll need a guess after this one. I was national karting champion at the age of 14.
14's late.
14 is
yeah.
quite late.
And I will need a guess from you on this one. I'm enjoying doing this. I might take it over from himself when he gets back
Oh,
off
good
holiday.
luck trying to get that past him.
David Coulthard was a late champion, wasn't he, at karting?
David Coulthard, I think,
Yes,
is
but he's
significantly
older.
older than 39.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, good point. Yeah, I forget what year it is. I still think it's like 1990 something.
Yeah, it's still in 1994. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Shall we hang a Räikkönen there? Just
I think that might
Put
be...
Raikkonen up on the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that,
Yeah.
that is
Let's
your
see who
first.
salutes.
Quite questionable
Yeah.
Kimi Räikkönen.
Questionable Kimmy is your
Yes.
first guess. Okay.
Questionable, Kimmy.
Clue 4. Before moving to F1, I won the German Formula 3 World Championship. Well, I think that just
What?
means championship.
German Formula 3 World Championship.
World
German
of
Formula,
German.
German Formula 3 Championship. Not runner-up in French Formula 4.
Yeah, you take the piss out of that guy that was the runner-up in French Formula 4, but he beat Pierre Gasly.
Yeah, fair point. But yeah, so before moving to F1, I won the German Formula 3 Championship.
Okay. So it's somebody who's obviously come up through the ranks in some parts of Europe and raced in Germany at some point.
Not
Yeah.
necessarily a German.
No.
Next clue.
Yes.
Okay. I had 46 races in Formula 1.
So not Kimi Räikkönen. He may have had a few more.
I had 46 races in Formula 1.
So that's maybe 2 and a bit years.
yeah, someone similar age to Räikkönen and
Yeah.
Alonso.
I thought you were going to say someone similar age to you then.
Well, some also similar age to me.
Adrian Sutil. He had more
I
races
don't
than
know
that,
if
didn't
he's
he?
that old.
Marcus Winkelhock.
Oh. I'm not massively across Marcus
I
Winkelhock.
don't think he even did 46 races, if I'm honest.
He did one, but he led it.
He did one race
Yeah.
and he led it, and that was it.
Yeah.
You're fine, get out.
Yeah, he was on dry tyres when everybody else was on wets,
Yeah. Okay.
and then crashed.
So we got one more clue before?
One more clue before the next one. I was in Formula 1 for 3 seasons, each year driving for different teams.
Oh.
3 seasons in Formula 1.
So probably someone not very good, but with decent sponsorship.
See,
or-
because it sounds like they did 2 full
Prestige.
years,
Yeah,
and then
and a
a
little
couple of
bit.
races in another one, and that was it.
yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're looking for somebody who was in Formula 1 roughly the same time as Alonso and Raikkonen were. Well, Alonso was perhaps winning championships, or
Yeah, sort of early mid noughties maybe.
yeah, roughly around
Yeah.
then.
Someone like maybe Ant Davidson.
Oh, interesting. He'd be about
Maybe.
the right age, give or
Nick,
take
Nick,
a year or
I
two.
think with the German thing here, Nick Heidfeld probably did more than 46 races, didn't he?
I
And he-
think
Don't know. We're
so.
too disappointed to find out.
He had a couple of seasons with Williams,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
And Sauber as well, I think.
Yeah, I think he hung around for a bit. Nico Hulkenberg has not long gone past his record of races without a win, and I think that
No,
was.
that's like 100 and something, isn't
I
it?
think it's quite a bit more than 46.
So do we start Nico Hulkenberg's world of extreme disappointment?
No, not yet. Not until his career is completely over.
He has time.
He seems quite happy as well, whereas
he's
Nick
happily
Heidfeld always
cantering
seems...
Not.
Yeah.
But I'm going to push you for a guess.
Yes. Davidson?
Yeah. As Hang Davidson next to Raikkonen.
Yes.
Questionable Kimi. Potential Davidson.
I'm pretty sure it's not Kimi now.
Yeah, I think we're definitely going for more than
Yeah.
46.
See if these next ones help you. In 2014, I returned to F1 as a team boss.
Oh.
In 2014, I returned to F1 as a team boss. I'm going through all the team bosses that I
Yeah.
know of.
Yeah.
Which makes for gripping audio.
It does, it does. The sound of the cogs.
I should think out loud, shouldn't I?
Yes.
Oh, it doesn't have to be a team boss, does it? Because a team of drivers would have Alex Wirtz as their sort of head of
Stable.
Yeah, that's interesting.
head of drivers, wasn't he?
The-
For the
He
GPDA.
was.
Yeah, though...
It's not a team. boss,
that-
really, is it?
I think that'd be a bit mean to us to describe him as a team boss.
Yeah, although I'm thinking, right age-ish, perhaps.
Yeah,
46
I
races.
thought he may have been a little bit older than 39, but I might just be being mean.
Next clue.
Yep.
According to Niki Lauda, I pulled the dumbest move ever in an F1 car.
That sounds like something Niki Lauda could say about anyone on any given
At every
weekend.
race, yeah.
Yeah. Ricardo Rossit.
At every race.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the team boss thing's still...
It's
got
it's
me
the
thrown.
39 thing and the team boss that's
Yeah.
got me.
Yeah, 39 and a team boss at the age of 34.
Yeah.
So it's going to be...
Not because
Someone-
someone who's good with spreadsheets.
Yeah.
It's going to be someone at the back of the grid, isn't it?
The guy
Who
waving
was-
the green flag who's getting replaced by a drone.
Yeah. Just trying to think which rear grid teams were still around in...
Wait, did Eric Boulier do driving before he gave up? And
No, Domino's fired him for some unknown reason. Profits were down.
We're back to fitting someone in the car, aren't we?
Yeah.
not necessarily a McLaren.
Would you like the next clue?
Yes,
Yeah.
please. Yeah.
I only had 1 point finish in F1, where I scored 4 points in a bizarre race.
So, 4 points in a bizarre
Alex
race.
Wirtz did okay, didn't he?
The most bizarre race for odd point scoring could possibly be the 2005 US Grand Prix. With all the tyres.
Yeah.
That would be how someone a bit average would have fluked some points.
Which was
Well, Minardi got a double points finish, didn't they? If I remember right.
Very possibly.
no, it was the three teams that took part were Ferrari, Jordan, and was it Minardi or was it Stewart?
I thought it was
Wasn't-
Minardi.
Might have been.
I know, but I'm not saying.
This is tricky.
And I can give you clue 10.
Oh wait, how old's Timo Glock?
Ooh, I would go maybe 35, 36.
Yeah,
I think.
didn't he do roughly 3 seasons in Formula One,
He
and it was
did-
in a different team?
He
each-
did one with Toyota,
one with Williams,
in which he got a podium with Toyota,
Which is more than 4 points.
which is many
Yeah.
more than 4 points. He definitely got more than 1 points finish with Toyota. And I think, was it Caterham?
Caterham might have been his
Marussia or
last team
someone of
before
that ilk?
he kind of quit. Yeah.
I'll give you question 10. There isn't actually a Spaffer question. But question 10, and I will need your final guess after this. My successor in F1 led all the races he competed in.
That's very impressive. But possibly suggests his successor didn't compete in many
What's his successor, Marcus Winkelhock?
I've heard more about Marcus Winkelhock in the last 5 minutes than I think I have in the last year.
Which would lead me back to it being Adrian Sutil, but he definitely did better than... He was at Force India for a couple of years, wasn't
Adrian Sutil definitely got
he? He was in a Sauber, he was in a Force India. And then he
Adrian
went-
Sutil got a fourth, I think, at the last French Grand Prix. I think I read that this week because he got the fastest lap, which I think, even on the old point scoring system, may have given him more than 4 points.
No, in the last French Grand Prix 2008, that would have given him 4
Oh,
points.
it may have done.
10.864.
But I think he would have had more than...
Oh no, 10.865 it would have been.
I'm sure he would have had more than 1 point scoring finish because that last year
I'm
was with...
sorry to say, but it was Kimi Räikkönen that got the fastest
Was
lap
it
at
Kimi?
the last French Grand
Someone,
Prix.
there's definitely some race I've read about in the last year where Adrian Sutil... The last week, where Adrian Sutil got the fastest lap, and I was like, what the fuck? It
I
may-
think it might be Adrian Sutil, but I don't have it.
I
don't-
believe
don't
Adrian
know anyone
Sutil would
else.
have more than 1 points finish.
Yeah,
Because the last year he was with Force India, they were actually quite good.
yeah.
Yeah.
There was the one where Fisichella came second, and
In Belgium, and they should have won it.
yes,
And then he went to Ferrari and did nothing.
yes, and now he's a GT driver,
Mm.
not winning.
Yes. But has fantastic hair.
Does he? Has he
Grey
paid
hair.
for it? Do we think? Is
He's-
it
he's
an
got-
aftermarket number?
He's gone Silver Fox.
Ah, okay.
I'm just looking up Adrian Sutil's fastest
He
lap.
definitely has a fastest
he
lap.
has
I
one.
promise you.
Adrian
It's the
Sutil's
only interesting thing about him.
Adrian Sutil's fastest lap was at the 2009 Italian Grand Prix.
That may have been what I don't know why I would have been reading about that in the last week, but okay.
But I will need an answer from you.
Adrian
Shit.
Sutil has a little kiosk of potential inside Nick Heidfeld's world of disappointment.
I don't believe it's Adrian Sutil, but I don't actually.
think he returned as a team boss.
I don't
There
think
is
he did
that as
either.
well. Yeah, that I've forgotten all about
Yeah.
that piece of fun.
Yeah, it's.
I don't know.
I'm just.
Gerhard Berger returned as a team boss for a very short
But
amount
it's
of time.
surely
but
a
he
wee bit
did-
older than 39.
Oh,
yes.
yeah. He was racing in 1979.
Yeah. I think I'm stumped.
I'm going to need your final answer.
Christian Horner.
Is older. And I don't think ever had enough talent to get 4 F1 points.
No, he didn't.
According to Martin Brundle, he didn't have enough talent to get to F1.
Well, no, there is
Yeah.
that as well.
We keep seeing that on the best of grid walks.
Yeah, we do.
So your final answer is?
I'll let Sean choose it.
Oh, God.
Seeing as we'll have Lee back soon.
Yeah, it's getting bloody sooner, isn't it?
Yeah.
As we take time trying to find this answer. I haven't got a fucking clue. Should we go back to Alex Wirtz? No,
Can do.
No, he got more than 4 points.
Alex Wirtz is your final answer?
I haven't got anything more sensible.
I haven't either.
No.
Yeah, it's wrong, but
Yeah.
it's the best we've got.
My name is Christian Albers.
Christian
I'd
Albers,
forgotten
Dutch.
all about him being a thing.
Dutch driver.
Dutch driver who was driving for Minardi in the 2005 US Grand Prix.
Told you it was Minardi.
Yeah, it was Minardi, yeah. Well done, Dan.
And would you believe his replacement in F1 that led every race that he took part in was Marcus Winkelhock?
Yes!
Yes! Brilliant. See, I knew a little bit.
Which team was he boss of?
Caterham.
Ah,
Fair
really?
enough.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Yeah, apparently he returned to Caterham in 2014. Didn't go well.
See, I was thinking like people like Colin Collis and stuff like that, but I was thinking that's not right. He never made it to Formula One, but yeah, no, I didn't realize Christian Albers returned as a team boss.
No.
I missed that.
Thank you very much to Bjorn for sending that
No,
one.
no, thank you.
that
You
was,
completely
that was a
stumped us.
good
That was a
one.
good one.
Tricky, but
Everyone
good.
thoroughly stumped.
Bjorn wins.
I wish we had a prize to give away if anyone manages to send in a total shunt and foxes us all.
No, because there's lots of answers can fox us all. What we want is one that sounds like we should be able to get it.
One that sounds like we should be able to get it, but make the clues really hard so that we don't get it until we actually have to think and piece all the clues together.
Yeah,
That's what we want.
If you want to send in total shunts, normally I'd say send them as a direct message to Lee. But if you want to send in some for me to do, then email them to 3legs4wheels@gmail.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the sound of a coup taking place.
Uh-oh. Recording down the dove from above. What's
Yeah.
going on?
But no, you can send him in a direct message on Twitter to @ATotalShunt, and Lee'll use them when he gets back. But it's good to have a couple in the bank for when he disappears.
And if you're really lucky, you might use it twice in a row.
in consecutive weeks, which is when I'll have all these ones on standby for when he fucks up again. Also, if you want to get in touch with us generally, use that email address, 3legs4wheels@gmail.com, or tweet us @3legs4wheels, or
At Sean Cowper.
At Dan Dankleton.
At Flood21.
and @Pablo100.
You can also get Lee, as we just said, at @ATotalShunt.
And we're there on Facebook as well, facebook.com/3legs4wheels. We're somewhere on Instagram. I keep forgetting to use the Instagram, as we all do, because I think we're at least
Yeah.
three of us in this room have got access to that account, and
Yes.
we never use it. And there's also the extra show that you can get by subscribing to Patreon, which brings in all the money that keeps us going, things like hardware, hosting, biscuits.
Yeah. Well, I mean, paying for the hosting and just in order to get this show out to the people who are listening to it, it costs enough.
Yeah.
So
And,
we've got to say a huge thanks to the guys from Cloud Above.
who we know listen because they tweeted us last week saying that they were listening, and they thanked us for giving them a shout out.
Yeah.
No, guys, thank you.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you so
are-
much.
You are the ones that keep this going. Right, Formula Lee update quickly. It's Belgium in the dry in the 2004 Ferrari because there isn't a French Grand Prix circuit on there.
Yeah.
And I believe we are hitting back-to-back time. So the next couple of Formula Lees are going to be 1 week challenges.
Yeah, it's back to back to back,
It
isn't
is,
it?
yeah. So the next
Triple
three
header.
Formula Lee races are going to be 1 weekers.
Oh, wait. Is there a German race on there?
No, we're using Malaysia for that.
Oh, are we?
Yeah,
Okay, fair enough.
because because Malaysia's just sat there not doing anything.
It will be on the game. Yeah,
So-
yeah, good point. Yeah.
So the German Grand Prix in 3legs4wheels world has been transplanted to Sepang.
Sepang.
Yeah,
Zipang.
This feels a bit Nico Rosbergy, just sort of adopting countries randomly for other purposes.
well, he's German and he feels a bit Italian, so he could feel a bit Malaysian
I'm
as well.
I'm sure he once said that Malaysia was like a home race because of Petronas.
He has. Am I gonna have to remix the Rosbergia anthem
Yes.
again just to get Italy and Malaysia in there?
Yes.
Also, does that mean I've got to try and find and download a copy of the Malaysian national anthem? Don't send it to me. I can do it.
The Italian national anthem is incredibly long as well. It's about 4 minutes before they start singing.
It's awesome though. Isn't
Yeah, oh
it?
yeah, it's great. Yeah, yeah. It's one of the, I'm so sad that there's no Italy at the World Cup just for the national anthem,
It could be worse. It could be the Napoli FC theme song,
which is rubbish. Which I've only heard the crowd sing until you played it to me last week.
and it's still rubbish.
It's worse.
I'll find a link and share it with everyone on YouTube if there wants. Right, that's probably about it.
I think so. Anybody else got anything else? No.
Anyone got anything else to say?
No, we're all
No.
good.
Right, in that case, we'll be I'll be back on Saturday doing the live qualifying blog. I'll be here with Chris on Sunday and Sean for the live race blog.
Yes, we will.
You can't make the blogging this weekend,
I can't, I'm afraid,
unfortunately.
no.
And we'll be back next week in one form or another with another podcast. And next week will be the third different computer we'll have used in 3 weeks, and I'm hoping the next one bloody works.
This one's worked fine though.
This one's worked
Ish.
fine up to a point, apart from that break where it stopped working.
Nobody noticed that. It's fine.
It will
Totally
be a
seamless.
flawless edit. No one will know.
No pressure. Right, I better go start working on the edit now. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.